Good evening, everybody. This is the Rabid Hedgehog, and just wanted to talk about motovlogging in general. Motovlogging is a fun activity to do, but it is a very hard and tedious process to get into. And part of being a motovlogger is you just got to go out there and decide what you want to talk about. I know some guys love to talk about politics and other things and religion and stuff like that while they're out on the road, or other drivers and things like that. But I like to kind of keep it honest and about biking, and just being a biker in general, and enjoying the ride and showing people what it's like to be out here on the road. So that's just what it is. It's your choice of what you want to do, because it's your motovlog. So if you decide to do whatever, then hey, do it from the back of the bike, because let's be honest, doing anything from the back of the bike is better than sitting at home or driving a car. And so I recommend getting out there. Part of the thing about it is, though, it is a very time-consuming process. There's a lot of looking at the videos you've done, a lot of editing, a lot of time uploading, downloading, checking what you're going to do, looking what you're going to talk about, and even getting the cameras and microphones set up and where you want them and what you want to do with them. My setup is fairly simple. I have a Harley Davidson helmet that's HJC modular that Harley rebranded, but with that has very large vent holes that don't have any sort of grating on them, and that's why I get a lot of wind noise, unfortunately. But it does make it easier where you don't have to modify the helmet at all to get the cords out for the microphone and the camera to get together and all that stuff. And I just do that simple setup every time. I currently am using a cell phone's microphone. I am trying to get one that's better, and it's supposed to be in tomorrow, so I'm hoping that works out. But it's going to be a new Chatterbox Duo setup, Bluetooth, and the microphone has a good windbreak on it, from what I understood on the reviews and stuff that I read about it. But I'm never sure about that. Let's see, hold on. So, got to see how that's going to work out for me, and see if it does have that good windbreak. And if it does, then I'll hopefully get clearer sound and a lot better footage out of that. So that's what I like about the helmet. I didn't have to drill it, or I don't have wires going under the cheek pads or anything like that. All I have to do is stick it up through the vent hole and plug it into the camera, call it a day, call it a easy setup. I don't use GoPros. A lot of people do. I don't have anything against GoPro or anything like that. It's just that I found the Sony camera, the ASV100, to be a very good, competent camera. It has a lot of features built into it that I really like. It has a GPS, and it also has NFC chips in it and stuff like that, so I can actually tap my cell phone to it and use that as the controller for the camera if I'd like to. But I also enjoy having this little thing on my wrist, and that's the actual remote I use, because it gives me a line of sight to where it's at and things like that, and that way I can see where I'm pointing at and what I'm doing. So I do like the camera. It also has Wi-Fi built into it as well, and works very good for what it's worth, and I really respect the camera. So that's the camera I use, and like I said, a very simple microphone that I use. It's just basically a headset from a cell phone that has a microphone built into it. It just happens to be headphones at the same time. So it may not be the greatest audio quality, but once again, working on that. And then also, then I just get out there and start talking. And, like I said, it is kind of hard for me, because I want to kind of keep it, biker stuff, but I can go off on just about anything and talk about anything while I'm out here, but I want to keep it real. I want to keep it about bikers, and I want to keep it about why we ride. And, it's important to me, because I really, really want to see people get into the ride. And, it's a kind of a troubling thing when you look at the numbers and Americans and stuff like that ride, and you see that riding is actually tapering off, and especially with the baby boomers aging and things like that. Now, I'm a millennial, is what some people call me, or things like that. I was born '85, so 28 years old right now, almost 29. So I'm one of the younger riders that a lot of companies are trying to woo. And I have to say that, the reason why I chose to ride was because it's just better on two wheels. It's better to be out here and enjoying the ride and the wind and the scenery from a whole different perspective, and also how economical it is to ride. I enjoy the fuel savings I get. My other vehicle is a Chevrolet Silverado, and that thing's terrible on gas mileage. But, I can come out here and ride 300 miles and spend $11 to do it, and that's great to me. The fuel mileage that these things get is an absolute plus in what I want. So, when I get out here and ride, I enjoy it. And I can't enjoy it without thinking about my wallet. Can't really go on a Sunday drive anymore and enjoy them anymore because you're spending a lot more in fuel these days, and a bike cuts that out. Another thing is that I'm not contributing to traffic congestion in my area. I'm quite frankly getting sick of all the traffic that has entered this area, as of recent. Used to. Oklahoma really didn't have too much traffic, and I didn't really have to deal with the amount of stupidity on the road is what I should, I'm going to be honest, it's stupid recently. So, since I don't have to deal with as much traffic or congestion because I can kind of get through it a little bit better, I like that so much more than being in a, 19-foot long pickup truck trying to find a hole in case of, an emergency, because I'm one of those people that likes to have a cushion of space for an emergency bailout, in case something completely bad goes out wrong in front of me. Oh, come on, people, seriously? Litterers disgust me. Come on. It takes away from the scenery whenever you're riding. Good gracious. But at any rate, so I just kind of like the aspect of just being there, because I don't need to find a 19-foot long hole. All I need is, about 6-7 feet hole now. All right. Wait for this guy to come on. And I really do love the looks I get for having a microphone and a camera on my head. So, slow motion rider. But anyway, and that's something about motorcycling, is that if people were to adopt it and not be so scared of it, a lot of people are afraid because they hear on the news about the rider that gets out there and he's on his Hayabusa or his ZX14 or 1000 double RCBR and hits the gas, wraps himself around the next tree that he can find and dies and things like that. And that's all people hear about motorcycles. And that is a problem I do have with the United States. Being that I've rode for several years, over a decade now, I would actually have rather seen a tiered driver's license system like they do have in Europe and other nations, because of the fact that many people are not ready for 1,000 cc's or more. Many people are only ready for 250. And they go out there on those leader bikes and they don't know what they're doing, and they end up pulling a wheelie and can't get down. And when they do, they lock up the front, they do something terrible, end up wrapped around a pole, tree, sliding down the street, whatever. Makes for bad press. But if we were to go with a tiered system, say you go get trained up, you ride a bike and you get a 250 and you ride around on that for a little bit. After so much time, they allow you to train on a 400 and then go up to a 750 and then go up to a 900, 1,000, whatever, go up in a system that's safer, then more than likely will produce safer and better riders. And I would love to see the United States go to that. And I know a lot of people might not see that or say it's a freedom taker or anything like that, but I don't really think so, because, freedom is also, or cannot be enjoyed if you're dead. So let's be honest there. If you're dead, then what freedom are you enjoying? So, I'd like to see that tiered system come up. I'd like to see it, where people go and start on a 250 and work their way up and stuff like that. I myself, when I started riding, I was on dirt bikes that were 50cc, and then 80cc, then 125, then 250, then eventually worked my way up to my buddy's KLR that I eventually wrecked because at the time it was too powerful for me. So, I didn't really hurt the bike, and I didn't really hurt myself, but learning experience, even though it was because of the stupidity of myself, it's still part of a learning experience that, man, maybe I shouldn't be on a bike that's so big. And when I first got on a bike, after I bought my own, I didn't start with a terribly big bike. I started with a Harley 883, but I eventually moved up to the 1200 that I've got now. And of course, I've been working on that 1200 and boosting its power and stuff like that recently. And but it's because I can handle it now, and I've grown into it, and I've had to get more comfortable. A lot of riders don't understand that the majority of wrecks happen in the first 5 months of you riding, and the reason being is because you're on a bike that you're not necessarily ready for. And if you're more ready for that bike, then you might not be in that accident. You might not end up getting hurt. And I know that a lot of people don't get in wrecks in their first 5 months either. I'm one of those people that, as I owned a bike, I have never been in a wreck. I've never dropped a bike that I've owned. And I haven't dropped one for 10 years, in that respect. So, that's just all it is. Work your way up. Don't sit there and start on a bike that you're not comfortable with and end up hurting yourself or somebody else because you weren't ready to go on that leader bike and you weren't ready to go on that bigger Harley or whatever it is. I didn't realize that was a stop sign. Normally on these streets, they don't do that. Okay. Of course, I haven't been down this way, and I just decided to go down here and see what's all about. So what can I say? Woohoo! This is going to be fun. So, then that's kind of why I did the sport. When I did the sport bike to see if I wanted to get into sport biking, I started with a 300. A lot of people, well, that was too slow. You wouldn't have got the feeling and sensation of a sport bike just on a 300. It's not fast enough. It's not this. It's not that. I had a lot of sport bike guys tell me that. Thing was, when we got to riding and we got into twisty roads, I was with them. In fact, I was passing them. And, and that got them. Why am I here? Why am I all of a sudden on their tail end? How am I suddenly able to beat them? And it's because I was more comfortable with the bike I was on and I understood the power of it. And I could dive into those corners at a much better rate than they could on their larger 650 and plus bikes, even some of them with their 1400s. And, of course there was those guys that could outrun me because they were just top-notch riders. There's always that guy, or those guys that have rode for a long time or understand their bikes almost immediately. There's people with that natural talent, but not everybody has it. And, so I support going with a tiered system because I would love to see more people get into riding. And how does it get people into riding if they're going to start on a small bike? Because even a taste of this, I mean, think of your first time on a bike. Think of what it was. Was it big? Was it little? Most of the time it's going to be little. And that little taste of the freedom that two wheels gives you left such an impression in your mind that after how many years you went ahead and bought a bike. It led to your purchase of a bike. And that's just what I'm saying. You didn't have to start out big to get the taste. And you started out safe if you didn't wreck, and things like that. Because you're able to handle the bike. So, that's what I want to see, in the future. Because I don't want to see motorcyclists die with the baby boomers. I want to see this American market grow in motorcycles. And let's face it, I mean, if a quarter of the population in any major city was to switch to motorcycles, then congestion that it would be almost obliterated. Because motorcycles are much more efficient at getting places, and it's much smaller and don't need that huge lane to get in and out of places. It just needs a hole. And you get out there and you're riding and you just get between people, get around people, get through people. You can lie 2 by 2 and make it more. It's just efficiency. So, you know, I just want America to understand that biking isn't a luxury. It isn't a sport that's separate from anything else. It should be normal. Most other places, most developing countries have bikes, not only because they're the cheapest mode of transportation, but because of their population is massive. And they need something that's not cars to try to hold back that congestion. I mean, you look at China, who adopted cars so quickly, and they have a traffic, whoa, okay, they're stopping. And they have a traffic jam that lasts 3 days. 3 days in a traffic jam. Could you imagine that? You know, and because they're adopting cars, and before they were bicycles, and they were motorcycles. But you see what the car has done is it didn't cause freedom, it caused gridlock. The car is not necessarily the answer to a lot of problems. The bike is. You know, right now, if you see this is a very narrow dirt road. And my pickup and another car are not going to fit on this road, period. But this bike and me and another car coming the other way, bam, we're good. We're perfect. We can sit here. Woo! Howdy, this is rough. Alright. This is fun though. So, and that's what I'm getting at. You know, bikes also do another thing too. They don't tear up the road. Think about that. Cars tear the crap out of roads because of their weight. Trucks tear the crap out of roads because of their weight. A bike weighs nothing, and the roads can support it, and the infrastructure won't be tore apart as fast if a lot of people are on bikes. Fuel prices wouldn't matter as much. The income would go up in your pocket because you're not going to be using your vehicle as much. If you learn how to ride and you learn how to gear up for things, then you can ride rain, sleet, snow, cold, anything. And that's what I do. I've been out in rain. I don't care. I've been out in cold. I don't care. I gear up. And that way I can keep riding. And I literally mean that this has been the most liberating thing in my life, is to get on 2 wheels. And I want everybody to experience this. This is one of those things that you must experience to understand. And I look at my pickup, and I had to drive it the other day, and that pickup had 11,000 miles on it put in its first year. And I come up to February of this year, and I bought my first bike. And I've never looked back since. And I have reached the end of the road. This is a very gnarly road in itself right here, folks. So, you know, I put so many miles on that bike, or on that truck, and I wanted a smaller car, and I started with one, and the dealership ripped me off and sold me a car that had been wrecked. I caught it. It was a brand new car too, of all things. They sold it as brand new. I found damaged wheels, bent, rusted, messed up, stuff like that, you know, and called them out on it, got the Better Business Bureau involved, and they took care of it, and I erased the deal. And still wanted that need to save on fuel instead of driving this pickup everywhere. And actually it wasn't even a year, because I had that pickup from June to February and had 11,000 on it. And by June I probably would have had almost 20 grand, because the rate was picking up. So, you know, here I am looking at that possibility of just inflated fuel costs. I wanted to save, wanted to figure out a way to do it. And I was like, well, you know, I've always wanted a bike, and I never really did it. I never really bought one. And my wife never, you know, said no. Never. I always talked about it. She's like, well, why don't you ever do it? I don't know. I just can't, you know, justify one. Because to me, I was seeing it as a luxury. I was seeing it as a toy. And, you know, that's something I shouldn't have done. Seriously, dude. Pulled her right out in front of me. And, you know, I did that, and well, this is a toy, this is this is that, you know. But the thing was, I started thinking about it. Well, I want gas mileage. I want the things that I've been talking about with that small car, but you know, I don't want to go buy another car. I just had such a bad taste in my mouth after that deal. And then it just kind of went, well, you know, now's the time. And I went and I bought that 883, and I've been riding ever since, and really haven't stopped, and probably won't until something very drastic happens that makes me stop. And that's just the way I want it to be from here on out, because riding has changed everything in the way that I've done things. It's just so much better on the back of a bike. I go out and I enjoy time, and I mean, I don't want to say that riding a bike is a lifestyle. But it is. It's a paradigm shifting lifestyle change. And you go out there and you get to meet people that you normally wouldn't meet, you know, and you get to talk and you get to understand that everybody's a good person that's on a bike. You know, you hear all these stories about the Hells Angels and all these bad motorcycle gangs, and they're not quantifiable. They're not anything that you should listen to, because this is not an exclusive club. This is riding, and everybody can do it, you know, as long as you've got are able-bodied and you know, work your way up. You can ride. You can come out and enjoy. I mean, look at the splendor of this sunset ahead of me. It's just gorgeous. I mean, in a car, you just don't even think about it. You don't get to see it. You don't get to look around and see the scenery change and the colors as well. You get this panoramic view on this bike, and there's nothing blocking you. And you don't have people constantly pestering you or sitting off your quarter panel, and you're needing to get over in that lane and your light's on and you're trying to move on, but they're just sitting there aggravating you, and you're getting aggravated and you're mad all the time. But on a bike, you just simply walk away from them, because all you need is that extra foot or that extra inch or whatever you want to try to get away from them, you know. And perfect, great. But you know, I've met so many great people on bikes, and I've gotten to know more and more people and got to reach out more and more, and I'm a very shy person in general, and I started this YouTube channel and to try to reach out and, you know, show people this art of riding, this wonderful pastime, this great means of transportation. I've rode everywhere. I go to work and back on a bike, and I go to shops on a bike. I just load my saddlebags or bring a backpack or something. I can carry that in. I mean, unless it's something like a refrigerator and it's just small or something, I'm going to bring a bike. And it's because it's just much more economical, and it's much more fun, and it's much more relaxing. And I mean, let's be honest, you're out there riding and you look left and you look right, and you're just like, you know what? I haven't been left before. Bam, you're gone. And you love it, and you enjoy every moment of it. You know, you don't gather this hatred like you do for a car, and you know, things like that. Because a lot of people, when they're in that car, they just want to go home. They just want to get out of the fuel sucking device and all that. But on a bike, you want to see what's out there, and you want to get out there, and you want to find more, and you want to talk to more people, and you want to try to get them into the fold, and you want to grow the family of bikers around you, and really get to enjoy it with more people. It is the original social network. I don't care what Coleman says about their tents. This is socializing right here. You get out there, you meet the people, you go to the rallies, you have fun. And this week is the week I'm going to go to Indy and get to ride their 15 bikes and do some reviews. So keep your eye out for those videos, and you know, and hopefully you'll enjoy them. And you know, get your friends out there, and if you're a rider, and if they've never rode before, take them as a passenger. If you've got the ability to do that, take them and let them experience this. Let them feel what it's like to be on one of these. Even as a passenger, it's just much more of a fruitful experience than being in a car. And that pickup of mine has only gained about 700 miles since the day in February that it hit 11,000 miles. And that's just how it is. I mean, the only reason I had to drive it's for loading and hauling and stuff like that. And yeah, sure, I had to go some distances sometimes. But you know what? That's just it. It's parked. And my other vehicle is parked most of the time on the weekends now too, because my wife is now a passenger all the time. Saves on fuel for both vehicles now. And that's always a plus. So, you know, just get out there and enjoy the ride. And, you know, if you want a moto vlog too, I recommend getting into it. Just find something that you like. If you like GoPros, use those. If you like the Sonys, use those, or the Ions, or any of those cameras. Find one that works for you and your habits and the way you want to ride, and, you know, whatever. And it's just, you know, you're now biking, you're now motovlogging, you're now enjoying a social network that doesn't require a computer connection. You're now enjoying the social network of being out there with real people, enjoying real life, enjoying real pleasure of being out in nature the way it was intended for us to be. Anyway, this is the Rabid Hedgehog. If you have any questions, let me know. And put them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer those as soon as I can get to them. If you've got anything you want me to motovlog about, also leave that in the comments. Keep the shiny side up, folks. Be safe out there, and always enjoy the ride.